Now, I do know that I said I was not going to revisit this, but I have no choice because I like to research everything. I like to find out if it's a fact, can it be demonstrated, or is it a theory? And one thing I come upon often when I discuss gravity or debate it, we first have to acknowledge which gravity are you talking about or defending. There's Newton's gravity and then there's Einstein's gravity. And it is highly apparent that science, I call them scientism, because there's real science and then there's scientism. Real science is demonstrable fact. Scientism is all theory, quantum mechanics theory, string theory, quarks, just a lot of nonsense that requires animation and artist renderings. Okay, so right now, in university and college, this is what they're teaching Einstein's curvature of the alleged fabric of space time. So they visualize space time as a fabric. Okay, and this fabric is not like truly one dimensional like this. This fabric would encapsulate the earth. It would be all the way up. The earth would be sunk down into it. And they say that gravity is not a force no more. It is the result of, we'll say for instance here, I don't know what they're using, the moon, or I'm going to say that's Earth. They say that gravity is the result of an object's mass, which is really weight, density. They make up these new words to exist in a place that doesn't exist, an infinite vacuum universe. But they say, son of a gun, they say, well, anyway, this is better. They say the planet or moon or star's mass, I will say weight, pushes down. And the one thing is, they say there's no down in outer space. So they got it here depicted as this planet's mass is pushing down on the fabric of space-time. And I've already made a video, you might not be aware, but time is a concept. Time is not a thing. Time has no presence or substance of itself. Okay? If time were a thing, it would have presence and substance. Okay? In reality, we are stuck in what's called the constant present. There is no yesterday or tomorrow. Yesterday is a means to remember things we did. And tomorrow is a means to plan for things we want to do. Okay? And that's all it is. There is no yesterday or tomorrow in reality. We just make these things up. Okay? If time were a thing, it would not acknowledge or entertain what anything did in the sky. The appearance of the sun or the departure of the sun would not be acknowledged by time. Time would be relative unto itself everywhere. It could not run or walk at the same time, or slow down at altitude and run normally at sea level, or run and walk at the same time. Okay? We are in the constant present, every second of every moment. Real, if time were real, it would not acknowledge or entertain what you are doing. If you went to sleep or woke up, it would not entertain that. It is the constant present, whether you are awake or sleeping, whether the sun rises or sets. And there is no yesterday or tomorrow. Yesterday, a means to remember things we did. Tomorrow, a means to plan for things we want to do. That's it. We're in a constant present. Time is a concept made up by man, a 4-letter word, to synchronize with each other, to be somewhere at a synchronized moment in the constant present. Now, these liars will tell you that there is a fabric of space-time within an infinite vacuum universe. And I will remind you that this alleged fabric of space-time cannot be directly detected. It cannot be shown to have any presence or substance of itself, and it would require presence and substance. I'll get into that. Now, they say this, we'll say that's the Earth, and it's pushing down on the alleged fabric of space-time. And that curved motion here pushes everything or curves everything back to the center of the earth, no matter where you are, because this fabric of space-time is here, 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 and all the way up. So everything on the earth, they say, is curved back to the center of the earth. Okay? Now what I'm saying is, this curvature of space-time would be relative unto itself. You see how that's curved? That curving fabric of space-time would have to breach what they call the atmospheres of the earth, our sky, and it would have to proceed all the way to the center of the earth, taking anything with it to the center of the earth. Okay? So it would be relative. It would be the same curved motion or influence, forgive me. The same curved influence would be relative unto itself. Therefore, if a plane were flying and it would be held to the earth, towards the center of the earth, and if a bird was flying next to it or anywhere near it, it would also be subject to the same curving space-time that was affecting that plane. Now, or otherwise you have to say that this curvature of space-time or gravity, the result of it, is sentient, that it can differentiate between the plane and the bird. Now, let's say that this curved space-time is curving the Atlantic Ocean back towards the center of the earth, and a bird flies over the ocean. This relative curvature of space-time would be curving all that water back to the center of the earth, and then what happens when a bird flies over it? Are you telling me that the curvature of space-time fluctuates, that it can differentiate between all that water and the mass or weight of that bird? No. If you throw a ball 90 miles an hour, whatever gets in the way of that ball is going to get hit by a 90 mile an hour ball. It's not going to slow down for something that's bigger, or speed up for something that's bigger and slow down for something that's smaller. This curved fabric of space-time would be relative. It would be all the same all the way around the earth, curving in at a certain, I would say, power or ability to curve stuff back to the center of the earth. So everything would be subject to that amount of curving space-time, curving everything back to the center of the earth. And they depict it that way too. This doesn't fluctuate. It's all curved in the same manner. So everything on the earth would be subject to that, to the same amount of curving space-time. So to me, that's illogical because, as I've said, if this curving space-time right here in this little square is curving, let's say the Atlantic were there, or a portion of it, that square of curving space-time would all be relative, and it would all be curving towards the earth in the same manner. Okay? And it would curve all that water back to the center of the earth. But then a bird flies over the water. It would be subject to that same squared amount of curving space-time, and it would not be able to fly. Unless you want to give gravity or the fabric of space-time godlike ability, sentient ability to differentiate between the water and the bird flying over it. It knows the mass of the water and the mass or weight of the bird, the density. I hate saying mass, okay, because they make up these words to start describing stuff in places that don't exist, okay? It's ridiculous. It's curving everything back towards the center of the earth. Yet there are differing amounts of energy we can produce to break that. Okay? We would all be fighting against the same relative curvature of space-time going towards the center of the earth. I've watched this. I've researched Einstein's relativity, the fabric of space-time, and nowhere does any of these people, these guys, they get on the screen with their foreign accents, and it triggers you to believe these guys are intelligent or more intelligent than you are. Okay? And another thing, I sent an email to another professor at Brockport University, and I asked him, I said, if gravity is now the result of an object's mass that is curving its surrounding space-time, and now its mass, I will say to dumb it down, the weight of the Earth is curving its space-time, surrounding fabric of space-time, like they show a bowling ball with a trampoline. The bowling ball will push the trampoline down. The bowling ball is supposed to be the Earth, and the trampoline is supposed to be the fabric of space-time. Okay? And they say that gravity is the result. That curving trampoline is what pushes everything back towards the center of the Earth. So I asked him, I said, okay. I said, after the Big Bang, what objects of great mass were present to curve the fabric of space-time to assemble the Earth, the stars, the sun, the moon? What assembled them to make an object of great mass like the Earth that would then start curving its surrounding fabric of space-time? And they have no answer except to resort back to Newton to say that every particle, every body has gravity, or this power of attraction. Okay? And another problem is you can't have you can't have a singularity explode, which they always show in one direction. You can't have a universe expanding if everything that exploded and is produced into reality is attracting everything. How can inflation be occurring if every particle and all the debris and swirling gas that a singularity produced exploding, this infinitesimal point, the universe could not be expanding if everything produced from the Big Bang had this force of attraction to attract one another. It is all illogical, and that's why they had to dump Newton. Okay? All right? There is no current, field, wave, beam, ray, or particle of gravity itself on the Earth. So now they're going to this garbage. They're not saying gravity is a force that acts upon objects to pull, curve, or hold it down. Now they're saying gravity is the result. It is not the cause. Like these idiots that'll debate about gravity will tell you, oh, you need to replace it. What force is acting on something falling down? And I'll tell them there's no force. It can't be detected. There's no current, field, wave, beam, ray, or particle of any outside force or occurring power that acts upon anything falling down. Okay, they can't get that in their head. So, but some of these idiots can, so now they've resorted to this garbage. Oh, gravity, it's not an outside force. But in reality, this curving fabric of space-time that would have to breach or what they call the atmosphere and our sky, and what do we breathe it in? We breathe that in too? It would be a curving substance that curves everything back to the center of the Earth, which emanated from outside the Earth, what they call this fabric of space-time. And again, time is a concept. It's not real. It's not a thing. It has no presence and substance. This is all theoretical nonsense. Okay? And if the Earth and the Moon, now they'll depict the Moon right here. And it'll show an amount of this fabric of space-time curving around that. But that curving of the Moon will stop here. Okay? And then I'll say, well, how does this curving space-time that's around the Moon, how does it's stopping here? So how does it get all the way to the Earth to pull on the Atlantic and Pacific Oceans to create high and low tide? I'm going to see if I can find a picture of them depicting the Moon. They'll put the Moon right here, right? And then the same dip around the Earth, they'll do it around the Moon, but it'll be smaller. So if the Moon was this big, its surrounding space-time would be about that big. Okay? And that surrounding curving fabric of space-time would not appear to be going all the way to the Earth. Okay? And if two bodies have this power of attraction, what stops them from a collision? Because I promise you, when they get the bowling ball and they put it on the trampoline and it curves the trampoline, and then they throw a marble in there, it always ends up colliding with the bowling ball. Okay, so there would have to be an opposing force, like a magnet when you reverse the sides of them and try to push them together. Okay, that is explained nowhere in this nonsense. You can't even understand the guy with his accent is so thick. These people, you people are totally deluded. Whether it's Newton's version of gravity or Einstein's version of gravity, the result is the same. However, if we are to be honest, we do not know what gravity is itself in any fundamental way. That's because there is no presence or substance of gravity itself. They can only go on to say we only know how it behaves, which is illogical. That is illogical. My goodness. Whatever, you believe what you want, you're going to chase your tail. You'll never have any answers. It'll only be theory. And that's what they do. Instead of you trying to find out the truth of our reality, they send you in a 180-degree opposite direction into one theory after another. And that's why most of these alleged geniuses all kill themselves, because there's no answers. At the end of 50 years, you have nothing. You have nothing you can demonstrate. It's all theories. All theories. And theories cannot be demonstrated, hence theory.